Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to Sovereign Gaming. It has been a minute since I last spoke about Life by You, and a big part of that is due to the fact that I am working on my Sims 3 SimCity world build, which is now up on my channel if you'd like to check it out. So since the announcement of the delay of the Life by You's beta, I wanted to take a step back and really think about what I want to achieve with my channel, because even though I am still excited for Life by You, I didn't want to get caught up in creating content for the sake of creating content. It wouldn't be fair to you, and I'd rather create better content, essentially prioritizing quality over quantity. Or at least that's what I think I'm doing anyways. Anyways, today I want to briefly recap everything that I have missed since switching gears to work on my Sims 3 SimCity world build. And I'm gonna do that, and how I'm gonna do that is that I'm gonna sum up my thoughts on the promo releases by the Life by You team so far. Let's begin by talking about how to buy and trade cars in the Life by You game and the promo that went along with that. Okay, so there honestly wasn't much to touch on for the Life by You car video itself. In my opinion, the more interesting tidbits came from the Twitter post that Paradox published responding to questions about the vehicles. And even then, I really didn't have a whole lot to say about that either. Just gonna be honest there. Anyways, the most interesting tidbit that I personally grasped from all of the vehicle communications that week was the fact that they are looking at loans and banking more in depth during early access. Loans and banking would honestly help to set Life by You apart from the Sims series in a good way. But what I liked most about their statement is that they seem to suggest that banking, loans, and debt will be more of a choice that players can make when it comes to introducing these kinds of challenges into their playstyle. I think that what would have made this set of messaging on vehicles more impactful is if Paradox had expanded upon what kinds of vehicles would be available to play, such as the motorbikes that we saw in the dealership store. But that's just my opinion. I would have really liked to have seen the gameplay surrounding those different kinds of vehicles. Again, that's just me. Now let's talk about the town tour hosted by Rocio. At the end of the tour, I have to ask, why are there so many office buildings? At this point, I'm more curious about what these office jobs actually are, or if these are office buildings that are housing, service companies such as the delivery service. I've mentioned it in previous Life by You videos, but those delivery drivers have to work somewhere, and I have to wonder if one of those offices would serve as an HQ for the world's delivery services. This video tour also felt a little rushed, I hate to say, and I hope that I remember to touch on this at the end of the video, but I think that Life by You is getting to the point of needing to mix in more candid content and produced content at this stage in the game. What I mean by that is what we are being shown right now, I feel, is more candid content. You boot up the game, you press record, you hit play, and you do your actions there. I think that they might benefit from a little more produced content as well. To me, there just seems to be a lack of tact in the messaging behind all of these promos as a whole when you step back and look at it, but that's just my opinion, and I'll touch upon this a little later in this video. When looking at the Q&A tweets, I was disappointed to see that being able to edit the world itself likely won't be possible. Like, they never mentioned that we could terraform or anything like that. However, Paradox did say that we will be able to heavily customize the base region. My question here is, what is a region defined as? And what does heavily customized suggest? Would heavy customization include road and tree placement? Will some sort of prop or object placement be possible outside of lots? Those are the kind of questions that I have, and these are the kinds of questions that I would like to have answered. Alright, the next video that I want to talk about is the gameplay questions video hosted by Rod Humble. This is actually a very important video because it reveals a couple of rabbit holes that this franchise could find itself sucked into. What do I mean by that? Well, why are we talking about the gameplay depth of dishwashers? What about diving into the gameplay features available to us in build and buy mode for lot building that was briefly covered before? Building lots, in my opinion, is more important for any player, not just builders, than deciding how much impact washing dishes has on your character's life. Or how about showing how to build a career job tree and how that translates into the early access version that will have access to this March? If I remember correctly, every job is interactive, so that suggests that players can create nearly any kind of job, only limited by the gameplay itself. And I want to know what those limits kind of are. So why are we stuck on dishwashers when that seems to be a very minor part of the game? Sure, it's a big flex on other life simulation games, basically saying, hey, look how far in depth the player can go with just dishwashing. They can build out their characters on such a simple action if they choose to. But at this point, there are so many other big picture questions that players have that I'm a little concerned that we are sort of losing the forest for the trees at this point when it came to the dishwasher discussion. As for the skills discussion, I actually love a suggestion that James Savory 3727 left in the comments section on the YouTube video itself on for Life by You. And his suggestion reads as the following. So regarding the cleaning skill discussion, it would be really nice to have core primary skills associated and associated sub-skills. A core skill would include things like cleaning and creativity. They could range from 1 to 10, but sub-skills are more specific and are related to a core skill. An example would be painting as a sub-skill for creativity. Painting on the easel would build up your painting sub-skill, but simultaneously build up the core creativity skill at a slower rate. Core skills build slowly over time when its sub-skills are being worked on. Building a core skill might allow you to unlock benefits for its sub-skills. High creativity skill could increase the dollar value of a piece of creative work. That includes painting, pottery, and other related sub-skills. I see cleaning as a core skill and laundry as a sub-skill. All I gotta say is genius idea, bro. This would add another layer of challenge outside of the financial challenges that players can customize. And it also gives reason for characters to practice skills, or sub-skills in this case, such as painting, at level 10, since they would be building their creativity skill by doing that sub-skill. Although I'm very on the fence about the cleaning skill making a return from The Sims 2, I do think that if James Savory's 3727 suggestion is implemented, that it helps make a homemaking or laundry skill a palatable skill, I should say. Or at least I think it does, because to me, laundry and homemaking as skills is kind of trivial. But that's just my opinion. You might roast me on that one, but I am stating my opinion on there. As for the starting cash portion of the video, we're already being given the power to customize the economy and what these families and households start with. As opposed to just asking us about what our opinions on it are and briefly overviewing it, why not dedicate a video or two that shows players how to tune their economy in depth instead of cramming it into this video just as a brief surface overview? The amount of economy tuning you can do is actually incredible just from looking at the screen. But people will really need a guide on how to do this in depth instead of just like overviewing it without fully explaining the impacts and extents that each of these factors can be tuned for, and also showing it in the world as well. We keep seeing these screens where you can make all of these adjustments, but then we don't actually get to see them play out in the game itself. So I think that's actually kind of important and something that I would like to see going forward. Now, I know that Rod said that they will walk us through modding at another time, but the gameplay questions that I have right now are concerned with world and lot building, jobs, and population and housing challenges. And these questions have been around since last March when the trailer was dropped and when I started making videos. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm really not trying to complain. In fact, I actually view these questions as very healthy questions because there is no way I would be asking these kind of questions for for anything that is produced for other life simulation games. Let me just put it like that. But yeah, what we are being shown goes miles ahead of other life simulation games in my opinion. But I just still don't know what extent I can customize the world. I still don't know the features coming with lot building. I don't know what working jobs actually are. And I still think that there is a population and housing challenge present, since every character can be playable at any given time. Of course, you can stop new people from moving into town according to their latest Q&A Twitter post, but will players be forced to do this as they continue to grow their towns? That's a question that I think is worth asking and worth seeking an answer to. Moving on, I am still confused why background traits are considered personality traits. Let me explain this one. If, for example, you had a character that had a turbulent childhood, then wouldn't they theoretically have certain social challenges as well as economic ones? Like, to me, these seem like storytelling traits more than anything. And I would even go as far as to suggest as giving characters traits with subcategories such as background, personality, etc. Maybe this is the case, and I'm just not understanding it from the visuals that were given. Again, feel free to comment below if I might just be misunderstanding something. I never claim to be a perfect person, so there's that. I also have a question regarding whether these background traits come attached with other traits. Like if you had a turbulent childhood, maybe an attached trait would be also being hot-headed or a troublemaker. Now let's move on to summarizing the lot editor video. Okay, so I apologize for explaining my understanding of the lot editor mode in the following way, but I think my coffee just kind of wore off while writing the script. Okay, so if the lot editor tool from Life by You existed in The Sims 3, essentially, I feel like I would have the power to create a custom lot type. So instead of having like a big part community lot in The Sims 3, I could designate it as a garden with different operating hours and such. Or I could actually create a city hall lot type that to fit the city hall shell building instead of placing that city hall shell building on a visitor's allowed community lot. Again, sorry for the metaphor there. I'm just gonna go with the coffee-less writing at this point. Anyways, if I understand the lot editor correctly, this is pretty cool. Actually, I just want to say great job, Paradox team. I don't give you guys enough kudos. I give you more feedback than actual credit, so I should also apologize for that. In my opinion, this lot editor is actually pushing new boundaries in the life simulation gaming space, and I think that it's actually quite cool. As for the Q&A that went along with this video, in my opinion, nothing definitive was really stated in that Q&A set of answers there. Essentially, I felt like the Q&A this go around served as a means to show the community that the developers are acknowledging what is being said. Not that I am criticizing this, since I know that you can't promise anything that you might not be able to deliver on, but they did at least acknowledge it, which is a lot more than what other life simulation gaming companies are willing to do these days. Next up, Rod Humble released another video on gameplay, and I want to discuss that one as well, or at least summarize it for us. Okay, so I feel like when it comes to looking at the different object levels and tiers and their functions, that it actually should belong into a larger custom object series or guide. Otherwise, I really have no feedback on this video except to question if kids will actually end up making it into the early access now. If I remember correctly, we were told that children weren't likely to make it in, but of course that was before the delayed release date, so I could be just missing some sort of an update since then. Again, if you guys know better, drop a comment, send me the source. More than happy to to correct myself in the next Life by You video, so no worries there. After Rod released his second video, there was really no Q&A Twitter post that followed it, which really led to the relationships video done by Rocio, which I'm going to cover now. Overall, I think that the relationships panel and timeline is really cool and robust. It feels like a proper system that the next generation of life simulation games would have. Overall, I do like the UI and the functions, and I feel like Rocio answered all of the questions that the community had. And yeah, I really enjoyed that video, although I'm still kind of wondering what chemistry actually, what it actually means, like whether it's just bonuses to interactions with other Sims, but you know, it is what it is. That's the only question, that's one of the only questions that I had there. But my other question is actually something that would relate to the relationship states. So in the last video we saw with Rod, we actually saw that you could have a spouse as a relationship state if you look at that window there. However, I'm wondering what other states you could have, such as being in a committed relationship. I would just like that. I would have loved to have had that expanded within this video. Yeah, otherwise I really had no feedback for the relationship video. Anyways, in the month of August and a little bit of September, I suppose, just to catch myself up, we have learned about purchasing cars. We took a tour of the town. Rod Humble introduced a discussion about object progression and skill building. We learned what the lot editor was all about. Rod updated us with more details on managing economics, and we learned more about relationships. This is going to come across really harsh, but this hype campaign for Life by You has been very chaotic. I would criticize that it lacks direction. However, I don't entirely blame the Paradox Life by You team for this approach, because they are clearly leading with their epochal brand pillar, and that is to let the players and the community lead the direction and discussion of the game. Unfortunately, this parallels real-world circumstances where Paradox is paying attention to a vocal community on social media that are speaking from a place of hurt and abuse from previous gaming companies. Hence why Paradox has been forced to remind us every video that the game is in developing and evolving, and that they are releasing an early access version come this March. And yes, I said the A word because it is true. The Simmer community was abused, and it has never been more evident than watching the tomfoolery that goes down with The Sims 4 and watching the money that continues to get thrown at it. I said what I said. On the flip side, there exists a community that actually wants to discuss Life by You enthusiastically without getting hung up over the graphics. That community can totally get past the graphics because they've understood that Life by You is very much a journey and a work in progress, and that it's an early access version that's being released in March, not a final product. And therefore, that community can be open to different concepts or more complicated concepts and to the bigger vision that Rod Humble and the Paradox Life by You team has. That was not a dig at the other community members that are concerned about graphics, because graphics are important, yada yada yada, but we've been hearing about that for the last 6 months since March. I don't know what the math is there, you'll have to do it yourselves. But yeah, we've been hearing about the graphics since forever, since the game was announced in March, and the conversation is getting old because the improvements are now happening. Anyways, going forward, from Paradox's Life by You team, I would like to see more balance in the promos that they put out every Friday. And what do I mean by more balance? Well, for starters, I would like to see more cohesion with the promotional material, and that also includes the quality of the content as well. I mentioned earlier about maybe adding in a mix of candid content and more produced content. That would be okay, that would be cool. But when it comes to cohesion, I would really like to see the team take a big picture look at what the content would be for the month for every that gets released every Friday. Like, does it all link to each other? Does it make sense to put cars first and then a town tour? Maybe it would make sense to do something else. So for example, I personally would like to see build mode expanded upon through several videos, and then maybe move into object customization for the next set of videos. That way you can show people what they can actually do with build mode, what objects they can actually play with, and then how to customize those objects and how to dive deeper into that. Maybe going into the tier system of the object customization aspects more deeper. Anyways, we only got one video for build mode, and this is an aspect of gameplay that YouTube influencers have made entire careers off of. So it's a very important aspect that I feel like is actually not getting expanded upon as much as it should at this point. But in the same breath, I also understand that the Paradox team probably doesn't want to expand on anything that they can't promise to deliver on, so I totally get that too. Anyways, at this time, I want to know what you have to think. Do you see how the Life by You promotional material has felt chaotic, or am I just the only one? Do you think that the perceived vocal social media communities hold too much influence on the content that is being shared with prospective players? Or has the content published throughout August and I guess a little bit of September been satisfactory for you? Leave a comment below, let me know what you have to think. I just ask that you are respectful. And going forward, while we wait for Life by You's early access version to publish, I'm going to publish less videos on Life by You and instead focus more on gameplay videos. Right now, I just started my Sims 3 SimCity World Build series as a final homage I suppose is how you properly pronounce it. So yeah, I started that series as a final homage, thank you, and I guess a send-off for all of the great memories playing The Sims. So feel free to check that series out if you'd like. And until next time, I just want to thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, then feel free to like and subscribe for more. Thank you again, and have yourself a wonderful day.